Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast, the Drafted Up Podcast. That's Nick. I'm Theo. We're recording here on a rare Monday. Things were a little haywire today, and we said, fuck it, let's just record a day early. So Monday night games are going on currently as we're recording, so we're not going to be touching base on those in our little recap. So the episode will be shorter, which I'm sure you guys will be thrilled about because these recap episodes go for about an hour and a half. But, hey, Nick, long time no see. It's been about an hour.
Yeah, I just seen you at the movie theater where we had to run a fire drill. So was quite the experience.
I was there for 2 hours and I saw 5 minutes of a movie.
Yeah,
I didn't even pay to see.
Yeah, you had a crazy experience compared to me. I was just there to see Never Let Go or whatever it's called, Don't Let Go. And then I was going to run it back with Substance. What I really wanted to see was Substance, and then didn't get to see either of them. So now we're here on Monday recording.
Went to see Substance at 4. They told me that there was a little delay, that it would start at 4:15, 4:30. I'm like, cool, whatever. And I'm just sitting in this empty theater with my popcorn and my soda, and no one ever came to tell me this movie wasn't playing. I sat there for 40 minutes. You said you were coming. I'm like, all right, just tell me what theater you're in. I'll just go to your theater and see what you're seeing. And, 5 minutes into that movie, the fire alarms go off.
Yeah, I thought it was a weird effect for the movie. And I'm like, hey, I've never had this happen. I've been to almost 60 movies this year, and never once have I had fog lights. And I'm like, oh, no, they're running an evacuation of this theater. We should get out of here.
Once the person started talking, it was just like, this is an emergency. Please exit the movie theater.
Oh, yeah, we kind of knew it was a wrap at that point.
Yep. What a freaking day. And we get to talk about a pretty bad week of football. Not many people had good weeks in fantasy. You did. I did not. Home league, I was the highest scoring team the week before. Same lineup as this week. And I was one of the lowest scoring teams. You got to love fantasy football. Our 2 undefeated teams in our home league lost to the bottom 2 teams in the home league. Nothing's ever safe.
Yeah, exactly. Fantasy football can go any given Sunday, so it doesn't matter. Whatever happens the week before, it doesn't matter. When you start Jawan Jennings and Kyron Williams, and they combined for 90 points. So it was a wrap there. So I had a good week, surprisingly.
Yeah, it's football's been weird. It's been pretty uneventful on the offensive side of the ball for most teams. Scoring's down, which means scoring's down in fantasy. But before we dive into the week 3 stuff, you can follow us over on Twitter at @DraftedUp_pod. YouTube, Apple, Spotify, all that good stuff. Just search Drafted Up Podcasts or, youtube.com/@DraftedUp_pod for you web browser folks. We'll be there. Like, rate, subscribe, review, all that good stuff. Let's dive in. Week 3, first game on the docket. Your New York Football Giants defeated the Cleveland Browns 21-15. You guys were practically trying to just give the Browns this game. You fumbled on the opening kickoff, and the Browns scored on the first play of their offensive possession. And then they just couldn't capitalize on it. Deshaun Watson is terrible.
He's looking bad, but that offensive line's not doing him any justice.
Yeah, they lost 3 dudes on Sunday. But I saw something on Twitter that, this is the least efficient the Browns offense has ever been since 2000. And think of all the quarterbacks they've had back there. Deshaun Kaiser, Johnny Football, Tim Couch, Deshaun Watson somehow worse than all of them.
Yeah, I believe they have led up the most sacks in football this year. I think 16 through 3 games. So he's just out there getting rocked. And he's holding the ball way longer than he should for a quarterback with that type of offensive line. Their team's just not efficient offensive-wise, so their defense is out there struggling to keep up.
Yeah, they're not great. Eventually, they're going to have to consider benching this dude if it keeps happening, or else this season's a wash. They can't even run a QB sneak with this guy. They're bringing in Jameis to run sneaks.
Yeah, that's pretty weird. But I know he's got a shoulder thing, so they don't want him taking those type of hits.
He had a shoulder thing last year.
He always has a shoulder thing.
But
that's who he is.
He had 2 fumbles lost on Sunday. Did have 2 touchdowns. Amari Cooper finally had it. Big game for Amari Cooper.
Yeah, about
We've
time.
been waiting for it. 7 catches for 86 yards and 2 tutties. I know we talked about Amari Cooper. We were worried about him, but we were reluctantly putting him in because he was getting the targets, and it finally came through for him. Other than him, though, Jerome Ford, 10 for 37. He was the guy.
Yeah.
Deontay Foreman had 2 carries. So Ford was the one involved, and it wasn't much for him. And then the New York Giants, though. Yeah, the defense looked good. If you went out there and started the Giants defense, which I imagine mostly no one did. And then Dan Jones continues his hot streak. The Danny Jones heater. 2 touchdowns for Danny, 24 for 34, 236 yards. He also added 20 yards on the ground. But the big story from the Giants is Malik Neighbors. Their top 10 overall draft pick. Looking like a superstar. Looking better than Odell Beckham did as a rookie in his first 3 games. He was. If you line up the numbers, it's better.
Number-wise, yes. Odell was way more flashy. Like, Neighbors really showed it this week. He dogged a couple corners, which you love to see, and then he had a catch in the end zone, which was spectacular, because God forbid if Danny Jones could hit a receiver where he needs to hit a receiver, and he doesn't have to jump 2 feet out of his way to catch a ball and get his feet down before his hand hits. It was an amazing catch that 99% of receivers could not make. So he's looking better than Marv, dude. He's an elite receiver. It's no joke. Like, we're running our offense through Malik Neighbors, and everyone knows it, and they can't stop it.
Yeah, Marv's looking really good too. But both these guys
he
are
is.
superstars.
But like,
they're looking the parts.
Marv left a lot of open balls on that field on Sunday, and it was like Malik Neighbors has not left a thing on the field.
Arizona in general looked bad on Sunday. I don't know what was going on there. It was weird.
Arizona, they're not that good.
Devin Singletary as well had a great game. 16 for 65. He's the workhorse here. He had a touchdown, 4 catches, 43 yards. He did fumble, which is second or third this year. So he's got some ball security issues, but otherwise he's getting that workhorse load. Tyron Tracy did get a little involvement, but nothing to really affect Devin Singletary. So you like to see that from a workhorse standpoint. You think that holds up, or do you think this is just you have Devin Singletary, sell him high while you can, but he fits that getting 15 carries a game, which opportunities are huge from a running back standpoint.
He's the workhorse, and as long as we're in close enough games, he's going to get a lot of carries, and he got 4 catches in this game for 40 yards, so that's 8 free points in a PPR league. Singletary's a really good flex option going forward. Yeah,
he's still getting the workload as long as games are close too. Like it,
exactly.
If it does come into a blowout situation, he's going to be pretty much phased out because I can't see them doing a lot of dump offs. Danny seems to want to run in that case. But
he's looked good doing that too. So
Wandale was fine too. 8 targets again, caught 7 of them for 61, so a nice little PPR game. But if he's out there in PPR, keep an eye on him. He is getting a ton of targets outside of Malik Neighbors, which is nice to see that they are trying to feed somebody else in this offense.
Yeah, for sure. Wandale is definitely a startable option in PPR leagues.
Yeah. Where do you fall on Daniel Jones right now? Like, looking into the future here, is this going to be a case where like Malik Neighbors saves this guy's job?
No.
Or is it going to be a case where like Malik Neighbors is so good it gets Daniel Jones fired?
No, we need to get a legitimate quarterback in here. Like, look at the difference of Carolina's offense from them getting a legitimate passing quarterback in there. Like, their offense was completely different, and they don't look like one of the worst teams. They were an efficient offense. Danny Jones is not that. He's capable of getting the ball to Malik Neighbors, and that's it. He can't get it to the second option, the third, the fourth. He's not a good quarterback.
So you think no matter what Neighbors does this year, it doesn't affect Daniel Jones at all, his future?
No. I hope to God he's gone next year.
Yeah. Well, We'll see. We'll see. I also don't expect, because you guys are able to cut him based off his contract.
Yeah, as long as he has like the Russell Wilson clause that like they benched Russell Wilson because if he got hurt, they have to pay him X amount of money. Danny Jones has the same thing. So as long as that clause is in the contract, Danny Jones will probably be benched at some point this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Next game was pretty bad, pretty ugly. The Indianapolis Colts defeated the Chicago Bears 21-16. Anthony Richardson, 10 for 20, 167 yards, 2 interceptions, and then he only carried 24 yards on the ground. So, like, Richardson's inefficiencies at quarterback are usually made up for the fact that he is a incredible threat on the ground, and the last 2 games he has not been, and it has made him a terrible fantasy option.
He's also a terrible quarterback, so it's just a combination of that. He's the new Justin Fields. Like I'll take pretty much the L on Justin Fields almost at this point. He looked like a legitimate quarterback this week compared to he did week 1 and 2. He was out there making reads. Richardson's just bad at this point. He made 2 of the worst throws I've ever seen in my life. His 2 interceptions, like they were horrendous, dude. And again, he's 50% completion. He can't get over that. Like he's not it, dude.
He missed Adonai Mitchell again on a deep shot.
He does. He just constantly misses that dude.
So like he's so raw and so green as a player. Like again, 20 games under his belt as a quarterback in his life. Like this is a dude who should be watching football, not 100%. Right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess you really Indy can't go in there and bench this guy.
No.
But like they should have been like, oh, he's not completely healthy. Just bullshit us. Be like, oh, his shoulder's not quite there yet, and let Joe Flacco play. At least to start the season for a couple games, to like let this guy actually like sit down and like watch pro football. Like if anyone should have been treated like Jordan Love, it should have been Anthony Richardson. And I'm an Anthony Richardson truther. Like I love Richardson's game. I love his intangibles, but like he's not ready, and it's showing. Especially if he can't get it going on the ground. Where like, yeah, you'll take the inefficiencies from a passing standpoint if he's putting up 70 on the ground and a touchdown. But that's not happening right now.
Yeah, and his decision making in the red zone is just not there. The pick in the red zone was bad, dude.
So,
like, who was he throwing that ball to? It was blatantly to the other team.
Yeah, it looked like us. Like thankfully for the Colts, Jonathan Taylor went out there and again another great game. 23 for 110, 2 touchdowns. Trey Sermon, they just love that guy there. He had a touchdown on the ground as well. And then Michael Pittman again, 5 targets, but 4 for 36. Like
huge red flag.
I'm willing to move on from Michael Pittman. Like I would consider dropping him if there's.
I wouldn't drop him just because the other Colts receivers are worth rostering to begin with. Like they're all on teams. Like Pierce is on a team, Downs is on a team. Sorry. So they're all going to be on a team regardless. So I'm fine with having Pittman, but I'm not starting him. Do not start him. I wouldn't
roster any of them just because of Anthony Richardson.
I get that, but if you need to start a flex spot, these guys are capable of going off and getting 14 points in like the worst case scenario start spot.
Yeah. Speaking of inefficiencies, the Chicago Bears running
horrendous.
Game.
The Bears in general are horrendous. Like the stat lines for the Bears are all fake. They're 100% fake.
Like
these are all
DeAndre
stats. Statted
13 for
padded
20.
Stats. That's very hard to say.
Padded stats. I got where you're going. But DeAndre Swift, another inefficient bad game. 13 for 20, 2 for 22. He's another guy I'm willing to move on from. Because like Swift it doesn't even seem like Chicago wants him, and they paid him.
The problem is that none of these guys are efficient. Caleb Williams is out here fighting for his life again with this offensive line. And like he's looking just as bad as Anthony Richardson did. He's looking horrendous.
you can see it in his mannerisms, like the way he's carrying himself and the way he just looks like he knows, like, I'm not going to have time to throw this ball, and he
has no
just
time.
makes bad decisions. But, like, DeAndre Swift, the Bears, like, come into the red zone, they get inside the 5, they go to Khalil Herbert. And, like, Roschon Johnson has looked better in the passing game. Like, he was their best back on Sunday. Like, this backfield's a mess. Like, it is turning out to what you feared it to be. It's just 3 guys, and none of them are worth holding on to. Like, if I'm a DeAndre Swift owner, I'm trying to get him off my roster. Like, I would go to the Michael Pittman owner and offer him DeAndre Swift. Just try to do a trade for 2 poor performing players.
I would much rather Pittman over Swift. He's always getting targets, and targets can lead to stuff. Swift's carries, they're not leading to shit, dude. Like, he's so inefficient this year. The Bears' offensive line is horrendous. It's right there with the Browns' offensive line, dude. Like, they're not getting these quarterbacks anytime, and Caleb Williams is not ready to begin with, so it's just rough.
So you brought up Pat's stat padding, and Caleb Williams was 33 for 52.
Yeah.
363 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He did fumble. So 3 turnovers. On paper, you're looking at it like, damn, Caleb Williams had a huge game. But it was just a scenario of just a lot of garbage stuff. Rome Odunze, he looked good, though. His touchdown grab was nice. 6 for 112 and 1. DJ Moore, 8 for 78. He had a big catch as well. Then Cole Kmet. Yeah, Cole Kmet, best tight end. Top 3 tight end this week. 10 catches for 97 yards and 1 touchdown. I'm glad they got Kmet involved because, like, I love Gerald Everett, but Cole Kmet is a superior talent to him right now. And, like, look what he did last year. Got 600 yards or so. Get this dude involved. He is a vital piece of this offense. And I don't know how the Bears' passing game folds out once, like, Keenan Allen's healthy.
I don't trust. Like, you start DJ Moore, obviously, regardless. He walked into that huge Hail Mary catch, which saved them. Yeah, he caught it at the 1, but that was more than half of his yards. Rome is a risky flex play, but the ceiling's there in garbage games like this. And then Keenan Allen, though, like, I don't start him unless he shows you that he's worth starting at this point. Like, I don't trust the Bears in general. Caleb Williams scares the hell out of me. I think he'll be fine, but that line's not giving this dude any time.
And again, it's also another inefficient Shane Waldron offense. Like, he did it in Seattle. Like, it never fully worked. It was so frustrating, and it's frustrating here in Chicago. Like, if I'm a DJ Moore or Rome Odunze owner, I might try to sell high. I might try to, like,
100%
reach out right now, maybe to, like, the Christian McCaffrey owner, who we'll get to him in a minute. But, like, if he comes back, maybe you can get him cheap. Or, one of those other guys, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, someone who's hurt, like, try to, like, piggyback them into a deal. AJ Brown, yeah. But, like, I would be trying to move on from any weapon in Chicago.
I agree. Like, if it's a full PPR league, you look at DJ Moore's stats, it was like 16 points, close to that, 18. If you don't, like, look at the actual game, some normal person's like, oh, that's a lot of points. Move on, dude. Like, so go get something for DJ Moore, something more reliable than something that's not in the Bears offense.
Yeah. Next game up. Battle of the 2 undefeated teams, the Minnesota Vikings and the Houston Texans. And the Minnesota Vikings defeated the Texans 34-7.
Killed them.
Brian Flores is the boogeyman. You just don't want to see this dude coming. Like, he's on the docket, and you're just like, I'm going to get so much pressure and see so many different reads. Yeah. Like, the Vikings defense leads the league in shown blitz. They also lead the league in backing off blitzes, which is insane.
Yeah, that's a crazy stat. Your defense has looked like peak this year, and to go do it against Houston after doing it versus San Fran, it's a lock. Like, you guys are legit. I cannot wait to go watch you guys next week versus Green Bay. That's going to be a battle, dude. And Sam Darnold is legitimately in the MVP race. Yep. Like, it's not a joke anymore. It was a joke at first. Sam Darnold's legitimately in the MVP hunt.
Sam Darnold, who's the same age as Joe Burrow. He's younger than Josh
He's
Allen.
younger than Joe Burrow.
Yeah, well, they're the same calendar year, birth-wise.
Calendar year, yes, but he was born the year after.
Yeah, but Darnold, 17 for 28, 181 yards. Okay, that looks below average, but 4 touchdowns. Like, he was efficient out there. He avoided an injury. There was an injury scare there in the third. He just got a bone bruise on his knee. He's fine.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be playing next week. But the Vikings offense in general was just cooking. Aaron Jones, superstar game. He showed up. He loves it in Minnesota. He was telling his mom how this team just feels different than any team he's been on with the Packers. But 19 for 102, 5 grabs for 46 and a touchdown. Ty Chandler was involved, but nothing of importance. Justin Jefferson, best receiver in the game, 6 for 81 and a touchdown. And another week, another Jalen Naylor touchdown. That's 3 for 3. 3 for 31 and 1 touchdown for Jalen Naylor. He's becoming a guy who's should be warranting some flex consideration. Yeah. The Texans offense didn't really get it going, though. The Vikings defense really shut them down. Diggs had a nice game. He had 10 grabs for 94 yards. Nico was 4 for 86, which is fine, but lackluster compared to what he was doing. Tank Dell had his best game, but it was only 5 for 62. Sure. So he nets you about 11.5 points in PPR. Cam Akers didn't do much. CJ Stroud, he struggled. 2 turnovers. Only 1 touchdown, 215 yards. The Vikings defense really got to him.
Yeah, right off the bat, like, you guys looked like everything was going your way. You had that fumble called back. Unfortunately, like, if that fumble would have been called Minnesota's way, this game would have been over even faster than it already was somehow. Like, you guys didn't let that stop you guys from, like, getting after the ball. You were constantly at Stroud. You were constantly getting in the way of him passing the ball. You guys are legit, and going into Green Bay next week, I can't wait to see what Aaron Jones does, dude. Like, him in Green Bay, gonna be dirty, baby.
The crowd noise in Minnesota also really got to Houston. There was like a stretch where they had like 4 straight penalties.
Dude, that was insane to watch, and it was all like Tunzel, right? It was all the 1 tackle.
Yeah, it was. Tunzel had 2 of the 4 or 2 of the 3.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah, they were getting to him. Put some respect on Kevin O'Connell's name, though. Like, this guy gets no talk. That he should be the lock right now for Coach of the Year.
100%. With the way you guys are performing, 3-0. If you guys beat Green Bay next week, you're the front runner for the division. You have to be. You're already 4-0.
I kind of hope Malik Willis plays, because I would just love to see what Brian Flores does to that dude.
Dude, don't do that to poor Malik Willis, dude. He's already looked fine.
I am looking forward to that game. Matt LaFleur, offensive mastermind, versus Brian Flores, defensive mastermind. That's going to be a good one. Plus, Vikings, Packers, always fireworks. Next up, Eagles, Saints. The Eagles won 15-12 in a very disappointing game. A lot of hype around this game. But your start of the week, Chris Olave, he came out, he balled out, got a big touchdown there for New Orleans. His stat line, 6 for 86 and 1. So he went out, balled out. Rashid Shaheed put up a gooser. They couldn't get anything going to him. Alvin Kamara was fine. 26 carries on the ground for 87 yards. He got another 3 for 40. He did get banged up a little bit. Derek Carr came back to earth. 142, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Jalen Hurts was disappointment.
Pretty bad.
He had 311 yards, but no touchdowns. He did fumble, so 2 turnovers. He had an interception and a fumble. Yeah. But Saquon Barkley,
dogged
this New Orleans defense. 17 for 147. He had a touchdown. He also added 4 catches for 9 yards.
Oh yeah, dude. He's finished RB1 week 1, RB9 week 2, RB1 week 3. He's front runner for offensive player of the year. He's right up there with all the, 2 other guys. He's killing it, dude. He's worth every penny in Philly.
Yeah. Yeah, which is what I was worried about, his utilization. And it seems to be he's been the benefactor. Not Jalen Hurts. A.J. Brown being hurt plays a part in that. Devonta Smith was having a good game till he got a concussion. He was 7 for 79. And then once Devonta Smith came out, it became the Dallas Goedert show. You said you were willing to play him.
And Goddard was having a crazy game before that, too. He was killing it all game.
Yeah, but after Smith went out, he got everything. Everything
he was the only option.
Went to him.
Yeah.
10 for 170, no touchdown somehow, which is wild.
Crazy. But hey, I'll take the 10 for 170.
Yeah, Dallas Goedert.
That's a crazy stat line.
Next week, everyone's going to be, trying to get Dallas Goedert on the waiver wire because tight ends are dog shit this year. And, or if you already have him, you're going to play him and he's going to end up getting you 4 for 14 because that's what Dallas Goedert does.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to drop the ball. But hey, man, if there's no Brown or Smith, because Smith had a concussion late in the game, Goddard's the only option in the pass option besides Barkley. So
yeah,
I'm running.
I wouldn't be looking to get anything from Paris Campbell or Jahan Dotson. I wouldn't even try to roster him. But I think the Eagles should be smart and rest up Devonta Smith. They have a bye week the following week, so
yeah,
just get that guy some rest. You don't want to fiddle around with concussion. So
they do have Tampa.
Dallas Goedert offense.
That's a big game. Tampa. It could determine some type of NFC wild card spot, depending on how Atlanta and Dallas finish as well. But I would also rest them. But you're not going to get any production out of Campbell, Johnny Wilson, whoever the fuck else they have. Like, their receivers are rough, and they're both down now. So Barkley and Goddard would be getting huge upsides in fantasy.
Had the Eagles lost this game,
the Eagles, I mean, so did the Saints. They both look like shit.
But no, I'm saying had the Eagles lost.
Oh.
Would we be on it's time for Nick Sirianni to go? Because I'm friends with a handful of Eagles fans just from being in the area.
Yeah, and we're from Philly.
Throughout the whole game, it was just constant Nick Sirianni. What is his job? What does he do here? He doesn't call plays. He doesn't do anything on the defense. He's just there, and everyone seems to be off this wagon. And I've never on the wagon, so I'll toot my own horn that this dude is just a piece. He's useless. He's just the figurehead of this team, and anyone really could hold his job. But the vibes in Philly, despite the win, they're still not great. They had that fake tush push, and Jalen Hurts just looked in shambles on the sideline. He was just in his own head. I don't know. Things are weird in Philly. Maybe they need AJ Brown back. Maybe that'll help turn things around. But
once AJ
I'm still
Brown
on
gets
the
back,
fence about this team.
AJ Brown's my whole determination. I need a 3-week stretch with AJ Brown and Smith back on the field to determine what happens with Sirianni. But the vibes in Philly are weird, dude. Like you said, us being in Philly, I seen countless posts on Facebook and X or Twitter, whatever the fuck you want to call it, Instagram, everyone calling for Sirianni's head middle of halfway through this game. They're like, this dude needs to fucking go.
I even saw people saying that they should bench Jalen Hurts, which is insane because you gonna put Kenny Pickett in?
No, that would be insane. Their offensive line got banged up. Lane Johnson got a concussion as well in this game. So Jalen Hurts is also dealing with what half the NFL is dealing with right now is a huge banged up offensive line, and people are out here running for their lives, dude.
Yep. Yeah, and then New Orleans. How do you feel about them? They were the hot to trot, perfect offense, and they came out and really shit the bed here against the Eagles in a big test.
Yeah, they definitely came back to planet Earth, but they're in a tough division, dude. Atlanta looked really good this week. They are still decent. Tampa Bay still Tampa Bay, so I don't see New Orleans making the playoffs, to be honest.
Yeah, and who knows what's going on with Carolina if Andy Dalton stays.
They're not making the playoffs regardless.
Yeah. Next up, Pittsburgh and the Chargers. Steelers 3-0. Got the 20-10 win. Justin Herbert, he was hurt, and he re-injured that ankle. Joe Alt also went down. It doesn't look like he's going to be playing on Sunday against the Chiefs, which is a huge loss for him. We always want to talk about Joe Alt, and we keep just forgetting to bring him up because he's a right tackle, so there's no fantasy implications on him. But he has looked incredible as a rookie.
Yeah, I wanted to bring it up. The Oakland game, Vegas, that he went up against Max Crosby, who is one of the top best defensive ends in football, and he stopped him on 13 rushes. He had no rushes on Herbert. He put Max Crosby in a body bag, dude. Joe Olt's legit locking the Hall of Fame tag already, dude. He's gonna be a Hall of Famer. He's looked so good. I can't it's really hard for prospects to be at their peak already and he's out here doing it. Like, Brock Bowers is good. Joe Olt's already at an all-pro level. So
yeah, especially at like at offensive tackle position. He is out here. He's doing work. It's a shame he's probably going to miss the game against the Chiefs. Would have loved to see him go up against a Steve Spagnuolo defense. The Chargers in general, they just couldn't get really anything going. Quentin Johnston had another touchdown though. He was the guy, 2 for 44 and 1. McConkey was 3 for 43. Josh Palmer didn't play. The run game for the Chargers was inept. Like J.K. Dobbins, 15 for 44. And then Gus Edwards only had 3 carries for 9 yards. So I think we can put the Gus bus in the garage. If you're a Gus Edwards owner, I think you can safely move on from him there. And Pittsburgh, Justin Fields. He looked great on Sunday. He was working the middle of the field. It wasn't all outside. Like, he trusts George Pickens. Like, he's making throws he wasn't making in Chicago. 25 for 32, 245 yards. He had a touchdown, did throw a pick. And then he had a rushing touchdown as well, but only 6 carries, which is nice to see from Fields. And Jaylen Warren, he went down. He's banged up. So now we're looking at Najee Harris's backfield. There's a guy. Like, maybe try to go get Najee if you can, because I can't imagine Najee owners are going to want a whole ton for this guy because he's been pretty inefficient so far. But 18 for 70 on Sunday, 5 grabs through the air. You love to see that for him because that's something that he usually doesn't do. And if Najee can get the receiving work, he becomes a low-end, high-end RB2, a great flex option.
I mean, that's what Najee was his rookie year. He had a ton of catches his rookie year. So with Warren going out, Najee can do the catch work. He's done it before in the past. So as a Najee owner, Warren should take a couple weeks off, my guy. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with Warren resting up. Najee can take the workload. He can go out there and get 20 carries, 5 catches. He's a guy that can get 25 opportunities a game. He's a workhorse kind of back. So I'm happy to. Yeah, I'm all for him getting this kind of look. This type of workload. Yeah. I wanted to bring up Justin Fields again. Like, he looked like a legitimate quarterback, which he's never have. He's never done that before. So I'll give that dude his flowers this week. He has earned it this week at this point. He's 3-0. Pittsburgh's defense is elite. That's what Mike Tomlin does, dude. It's Mike Tomlin football.
This is exactly what Pittsburgh wants to do. They want to run the rock. They want to beat you on defense and just have safe, good quarterback play, and that's what Justin Fields is providing right now. Pickens did have 7
Calvin
targets.
Austin?
No, I was getting there. Pickens, 7 targets, 5 for 57. Not great, but you'll take that. Like, he led the team in targets.
Fine.
Justin Fields is trying to pepper him. Calvin Austin, though, great game for him. 4 catches for 95 yards and a big 50-plus yard touchdown catch from him. And it was nice to see somebody else involved in this passing game, sans George Pickens.
Oh, for sure. Like, Pat Freiermuth did what Freiermuth does. He got 4 or 5 catches.
4 for 40. Yeah.
He's good for 7 to 8 points every game in a PPR league. So he's a very floor-leveled tight end. But Austin looked good, dude. Like, every play I seen, he was open. His separation was really good. He's a fast receiver. So I love that he shined. Hopefully, going forward, it's just someone to keep on the radar. Yeah, especially if Fields is out here playing real quarterback. Like, if he's spreading the ball like this, I'm all in for it, dude.
And it's just beneficiary to George Pickens as well, because if they have another option, it takes, especially someone who could take the top off the defense, like Calvin Austin, that just opens up the middle of the field for George Pickens.
Yeah, I agree.
And then if Herbert misses time, are we just out on the receivers? Like, Quentin Johnson had 2 targets, and he caught both for 44 yards and a touchdown, but he seems to be touchdown dependent, and he's happened to fall into that 2 of the 3 games.
It's really rough because their schedule going forward is Kansas City, who locks down any type of weapon. And then they have a bye week, so they're all useless. And then they have Denver. And Denver has a really good secondary. They're going up against Surtain in Denver. That's a rough 3-week stretch with the bye week in the middle. And without Justin Herbert, they're definitely useless. So
it wouldn't surprise me if they just let Herbert rest this week and go with Heineke.
I agree. Just rest Herbert going into the bye, give him the extra week. And if they do rest Herbert or if he doesn't play, I'm not starting any of the receivers.
Yeah. Speaking of Denver, they whooped up on Tampa Bay 26-7. Bo Nix looked great. Good.
Yeah.
He had juice too. Like, you kind of forget that Bo Nix is a good athlete. He's got some juice. He can run.
Yeah. He's like
And
a
he
Danny Jones type.
yeah, he made some great plays. Had a rushing touchdown. He was efficient, 25 for 36, which one from Bo Nix, 216 yards, 9 for 47 on the ground. Again, though, the Broncos running backs are a mess.
Horrendous.
Javonte had 5 carries, 12 yards, 4 catches. He fumbled. Jaleel McLaughlin had 5 carries, 7 yards. He had a pretty touchdown. Going off the edge on 4th down, he juked that Bucs defender. He only had 1 catch on 1 target for 7. Then Tyler Batty, 9 carries for 70 yards. He did have a 40-plus yard run, so that's kind of skewed. I wouldn't look too much into him playing into this role, but like, you cannot comfortably start Javonte Williams or Jaleel McLaughlin going forward.
No. McLaughlin's even roughed the roster just based off, like, he's super inconsistent, and, like, Javonte sometimes gets workload, so I guess he's worth rostering, but I'm not starting any of these guys. There's way better flex options.
McLaughlin's selling point was his pass work, and he's not getting that. That's going to Javonte, so...
Yeah, exactly. He's almost like Alexander Madison. Like, both guys... Like, Madison has 3 touchdowns on the year, but he's still not even worth rostering. Because he gets, 3 yards a game, dude. It's crazy how this is all working out.
But Cortland Sutton, 11 targets, 7 for 68.
Oh, yeah, dude.
He had a nice game. Little Jordan Humphrey had 8 targets, 6 for 37, nothing worthwhile.
Sounds like a Nickelodeon character.
Yeah, it sounds like a bad rapper, too. Little
Jordan Humphrey.
Yeah, Josh Reynolds, Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims, they're not really worth it. And then we brought up Greg Dulcich being this target hog last episode. No targets this week.
Yeah, exactly.
The Broncos' offense is it's not worth even fiddling around with. And then the Bucs, Baker, 25 for 33, 163, touchdown interception. Not Baker's best game. But Bucky Irving is breathing down Rachaad White's throat. Now, whether this was the fact they were getting blown out and Rachaad White was banged up, or if this is a thing that's going to be happening. But Bucky Irving was 9 for 70, and he got 3 grabs for 14 yards, whereas Rachaad White did what Rachaad White does, 6 for 17, 5 catches, and only 18 yards. We've been praising it, saying it on the podcast that, if you have Rachaad White, you should be having Bucky Irving. But if Bucky Irving's out there, he should be on a roster in your league. He should be a guy that should be rostered because he's been the more efficient back.
It's not even close.
Who's to say that he just doesn't eventually take over this job?
When you are so much more efficient at running than Rachaad White, you're going to get on the field more and more. And he also catches the ball. He doesn't catch it as well as Rachaad White, but he still catches the ball at a really good NFL level. And 9 for 70 is crazy efficient, dude, compared to anything Rachaad White's been doing at all this year. Bucky Irving is right on that boy's fucking heels, dude. He's going to take that job at some point.
I'll take the average pass catcher for the more efficient runner than a below average runner who's an elite pass catcher. Rachaad White's going to have his role on this team if Bucky Irving does take that job because Rachaad White catches 90% of the balls you throw to him, and that is hard to find from the running back position. He's going to be the third down guy. He's going to be the passing situation guy. But it wouldn't surprise me if close ball games, if it's the Bucky Irving getting the workload there.
Yeah, especially when you need to run the clock out. Rachaad White's still only averaging 2.5 a carry. He didn't break that. He went 6 for 17. So their better runner's going to be on the field come later in the game and later in the season because they're going to be fighting for a playoff spot. And it's not going to be Rachaad White getting less than 3 a carry. So Bucky Irving, dude, late in the season, he's going to be a legitimate fantasy start.
Yeah. Chris Godwin did it again. 6 catches, 53 yards, and another touchdown.
Go off, King.
Another bad game for Mike Evans, 2 for 17. Yeah. We've brought up Mike Evans, you want those touchdowns or else it's not going to be there, and it hasn't been there the last 2 weeks. I'm not overly worried about Mike Evans. He's going to get his. It'll turn around because now teams are going to be oh, we got to do something about Chris Godwin. He's the dude ripping up defenses right now, and that's just going to open up the field for Mike Evans. I wouldn't be on too high alert on doing anything with Mike Evans. I would just be patient with him.
You might be
Kate
able to
Otten
go
had
out
a
and
nice
get.
game.
You
Yeah,
might be able to
yeah,
go out and get Mike Evans cheap. So
yeah. If
2
you can get
games in
Mike
a row.
Evans cheap, go do it. But Kate Otten, 7 for 47. That's what Kate Otten does.
Mm-hmm.
But like tight ends, man, it's a struggle this year. This was supposed to be fixed, and it's not.
Did Kate Otten fumble?
He did. He had a fumble.
Okay, because I was gonna say he finished with 9, and he somehow that adds up. Tight ends have been truly horrendous this season. Putting in the opportunity to bring up to your commissioner that tight ends might legitimately be just scratched come next season, just to bring it up as like a league discussion. It's been maybe one tight end a week that's been having a good game, and it's crazy, dude.
Yeah, it's not benefiting anyone,
No.
really. Even if you have the tight ends going off, it's not really beneficial.
Yep.
Because like the ones that are going off aren't really starting. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like the big name tight ends are all usually just shitting the bed now.
Like next game up, Green Bay, Tennessee. Green Bay 30, Tennessee 14. But Tennessee, speaking of tight ends, had 2 tight ends in the top 15, and neither of them were their starter, Chigakonkwo.
Yeah.
It was Weil and Nick Vannett. Like, those guys aren't on any rosters in Dynasty, Fantasy, whatsoever. Like, you're not carrying those guys, but like, Matt LaFleur is making Malik Willis look good.
Yeah. Yeah, Willis is looking like a whole different ball game now in Green Bay, dude. Like, Matt LaFleur deserves every bit of respect, dude. And Willis came in here versus the team that drafted him and did what he did, and it was amazing to watch. And look what Will Levis did. Like, Willis was his backup, and then Will Levis came in here, threw an horrendous pick 6. He fumbled the ball. He had another interception. He had 3 turnovers. The dude is just, he's blind, dude. Like,
he's a meme at this point.
It's
very
a joke. Laughable. Yeah,
but
like,
Malik
don't get
Willis,
me wrong. Like, he had some very nice throws. Like, if he has time, he's a good quarterback. But not every quarterback gets time. So
no,
he's very fragile.
And Brian Callahan hates him.
We've
heard it. And if Tennessee keeps losing these games, they're going to be in prime position to get a draft pick. And yeah, right now the quarterback class isn't looking great, but one of these guys could play their way into being viable. Like, I like Carson Beck. I think Shadur Sanders has good tools, but mentally he's not there. Like, he's a poor leader. And like Cam Ward's playing out of his mind in Miami. Maybe he gets into that talk. Miller Moss at USC. Like, their quarterbacks are always like the hardest prospect to like scout and figure out who's going where. Like, you got to actually like let the college season play out before you're like, okay, this dude's one of the dudes.
Yeah, and it's the most important position in football. So teams are always drafting these kids way too early, and they're not ready. They should be sitting, and then they just get destroyed and rocked because they're not ready to read NFL defenses. So like Will Levis, he's a really good quarterback if given the right time, but a lot of quarterbacks don't get that time. And unfortunately, he can't read blitzes whatsoever. So it's just not going to work out. He's going to be a really good backup, though.
Yeah. He's like he's going to be one because like he's the backup quarterback and come in and just chuck the ball. He's not afraid to do that. Whereas like most backup quarterbacks come in and they want to play conservative. That word's not in Will Levis's repertoire.
No.
But Malik Willis, 13 for 19, 202, touchdown through the air, 73 yards on the ground, and another tutty. He is making this easy for them to keep Jordan Love on the bench right now, let him rest up. Emmanuel Wilson, he had a nice game, 12 carries for 50 yards. He had a touchdown through the air, 2 for 35. Josh Jacobs was not great, but he didn't need to be. The Packers were whooping up on this team. 14 for 43 from him. And then the Packers receiving crew, Jaden Reed, 4 for 50. He had 2 carries for 19 yards. Christian Watson had a big play, but he was 2 for 67. Romeo Dobbs was 1 for 18. Dontavian Wicks, another game with no catches. 2 targets, though. So until Jordan Love gets back, you're really not playing any of these guys. Like maybe Jaden Reed in a flex, but if you have better options, I wouldn't be sliding him in right now.
Yeah, for sure.
And Tennessee, like Tony Pollard, they couldn't get it going with him. Only 6 carries, but when you're getting down that much,
can't
like
run.
So 6 for 14. He had 3 catches. Tajay Spears had 4 catches for 54. He had a nice little game. And DeAndre Hopkins. I said to get rid of this guy, and he came out here 6 for 73 and a touchdown. And Calvin Ridley had a whole 1 for 9.
Yeah, for sure. Calvin Ridley shit the bed. But Hopkins, though, hopefully he's just healthy now and he's able to get more involved. He looked great, dude. And he was constantly
beneficial for Will Levis.
Every time Will Levis made a mistake, the first dude at his side was DeAndre Hopkins. Like, he had his back 100% of the time. And if you're able to get that kind of, like, correlation conversation going with your quarterback, Will Levis is only going to keep trusting Hopkins down the future, like down the line, if Will Levis happens to stay on the field. So Hopkins is obviously the veteran in this locker room. So I'm glad to see him at Will Levis's side because Will Levis is constantly making mistakes. Someone needs to help this kid off the ledge. It's not going to be the coach.
No. Brian Callahan will help him off the ledge by pushing him.
Yeah, Brian Callahan's at the bottom just yelling, "Jump, pussy, fucking jump."
No balls. But rest of season, Calvin Ridley or Michael Pittman?
Calvin Ridley.
I agree. Next up, Carolina versus the Vegas Raiders. The Carolina Panthers and new quarterback Andy Dalton stomped Vegas.
Yeah.
As you would say, they put him in a body bag. Like, to the point where Vegas is considering a quarterback change because Aiden O'Connell came in. He provided a little spark. Gardner Minshew, he wasn't it. 214 yards, touchdown. He had a turnover. He just wasn't getting the offense going. But Aiden O'Connell came in 9 for 12, 82 yards and a touchdown. And that's Davante Adams' dude. Andy Dalton, the only quarterback this year to have 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in the same game.
And that's an insane stat. Yeah, Dalton came in one game, and he's the only quarterback to do it.
And he practically did that in the first half.
Their offense looked amazing, dude. Like, Antonio Pierce, he's on a hot seat, dude. Like, if this keeps happening, they're making really bad calls. They're just not running a football team right. And they've just looked overall really bad. So, it's just something to watch.
Yeah, Andy Dalton made the running game work. Chuba Hubbard, 21 for 114, 5 grabs for 55 and a touchdown. Miles Sanders had a touchdown. He was 7 for 17. He also had 2 grabs in the air. Zamir White, your start of the week. Was he your start of the week? No. You brought him up as you liked him.
I brought him up that I liked him, yes. Yeah, I was going to say I did not pick that guy as my start of the week.
10 for 34.
Yeah. Yeah, he's bad, dude.
And then Alexander Madison, another touchdown, but 3 for 7. Yeah. 3 for 37 through the air. Like, he's not reliable enough to be putting in your lineup.
No.
And then, who would have thought Davante Adams and Brock Bowers would be the third and fourth highest scoring passing options in this attack? Trey Tucker went out here, 7 for 96 and a touchdown. Jacoby Myers, 7 for 62 and a touchdown. And he had the octopus. He got the 2-point conversion. Like, they had nice games, but chances are they weren't in your lineup. Davante Adams, though, 4 for 40, and you're going to have these games in Vegas. And then Bowers, 3 for 41, which is fine for tight ends, but pretty lackluster compared to what he was doing.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, you're going to have these games with Vegas, but it came at such a week where everyone was expecting at least something. It's obviously not a letdown like New Orleans was, but it's still a letdown. Like, Adams shit the bed, Bowers shit the bed. Zamir White was a capable flex option because of Carolina's horrendous defense. And with Andy Dalton on this field, like, Carolina's team's now startable. Like, he's a good option of getting guys the ball. So Carolina's a whole different ballgame now, baby.
Yeah, we talked about taking the wait-and-see approach. Chuba Hubbard, I'd be considering him next week. And Deontay Johnson, 14 targets, 8 for 122 and a touchdown. He looked like a superstar out there. Adam Thielen had a nice game. He had a beautiful touchdown catch where he got hurt on. I haven't heard anything on what his situation is, but
I believe it's trending that he misses time.
Okay, and which is, hey, that just kind of keep an eye then on Xavier Legette or even Jonathan Mingo. Both of them were involved too here on Sunday. But yeah, Andy Dalton makes this team, have passable. Like, if you've been sitting on these guys, you can now put them in your lineup.
Yeah, you can comfortably start Deontay Johnson in a flex spot next week if Andy Dalton's still their quarterback. They did mention that this is only temporary. Bryce Young most likely, they said Bryce Young most likely will be starting again this season. Apparently, 4 teams called and tried to trade for him, and they turned down every offer. But if Andy Dalton's going out there and putting up 300 yards, 3 tutties, even if he's not doing that, but he's keeping you in games, I don't know how you take him out, dude. Like, there's 52 other men on this team that need a reliable quarterback. And Bryce Young is just not it. Jacksonville is getting mud stomped, dude.
That's what I looked over and laughed at,
dude.
Jacksonville, the Jaguars, the worst offense in football right now. Only the one team behind them is the next team that we're going to talk about, and that's the Miami Dolphins. They're averaging 11 points per game. They got whooped up by the Seahawks, 24-3. Skylar Thompson,
he got hurt.
13 for 19, 107. Yeah, they were pressuring him like crazy. That dude was taking hits, and I don't even think he wanted to be in there. I think after he got hurt and came back and then got hit again, he was just like, I'm calling it.
I don't blame him.
This ain't worth it. Yeah. And then they got Tim Boyle, who, they saw plenty of him last year. He was good at throwing to the Miami Dolphins as a New York Jet.
Yeah, he's not it.
This offense is bad without Tua, but like even Achane couldn't really get going. 11 for 30, and then he only had 3 grabs for 28 yards. Tyreek was 3 for 40. Jalen Waddle was 4 for 28. Braxton Berrios literally made an ass of himself. I don't know if you saw that. His pants were pulled down. His whole ass just out here for the whole world to see.
I did unfortunately see that man's ass the other day. So, but man, the Dolphins are bad, dude. They don't even need Tua per se. They need a quarterback who can just throw a good ball.
Yeah,
like these guys aren't it, dude.
Call Pittsburgh about Russell Wilson.
There's a lot of quarterbacks out there, dude.
Tannehill.
Yeah.
Like, you're still going to start Achane and Hill going forward, maybe even Waddle. Waddle put up similar stats to Tyreek Hill, but you're going to hate going into it having to start those guys because like there's a chance that this offense just duds. But Seattle, Geno Smith, he didn't have the greatest game. We were pretty hyped on Geno. He did throw 2 picks. He did have a touchdown, 289 yards.
Yeah.
But Zach Charbonnet, 18 for 91. He finally had it, the efficient game. 2 touchdowns and then 3 for 16 through the air. He was a top 10 RB this week. DK Metcalf continues to do it, 4 for 104 and a touchdown. And then, Jackson Smith and Jigba and Tyler Lockett flipped roles again. It was Tyler Lockett 5 for 46 and Jigba 3 for 39. And, they didn't need him. So, like, part of it goes that, but I think I brought it up. Like, I think you're going to have weeks where they're going to be alternating. One week, Tyler Lockett's going to see more work, and then the next week, you're going to see JSN, whereas DK is really going to be the only safe start from this receiving crew.
Yeah, I was willing to roll the dice on JSN this week, just based off his performance. So now you obviously have to, you know what you're getting. Like, for sure, there are going to be weeks where JSN is huge. So you can't take it, you just have to take it with a grain of salt. But Charbonnet, dude, whoever Seattle's running back is this year, you have to lock him in. It doesn't matter if it's Charbonnet or if it's Walker. They're gonna be like RB1s. Charbonnet back-to-back weeks finished RB1. He finished RB8 last week, and this week RB7. So you love to see it, dude.
Yeah, both those guys, and Ken Walker was a RB1 his first week as well. But Charbonnet playing as well as he has here makes it a little easier to kind of ease Walker back into things. You don't have to rush him back because the offense is still moving. Seahawks sneaky 3-0 team right now. Noah Fant also had a good game, 6 for 60. If you need the tight end, maybe you take a shot on Noah Fant this week because that's just what everyone's doing at this point.
Yeah, all the tight end stream options are the same at this point. Like, they're all just fire shots in the dark. Noah Fant has had horrendous games this year, and then this week it just happens. So just tight ends is like rolling a 20-sided dice, dude. It doesn't matter if it's George Kittle or if it's Kyle Pitts or if it's fucking some schmuck off the street. They're in line to get 8 points. It's crazy, dude.
Yeah, like Johnny Munt. He had 1 catch for 2 yards and a touchdown for the Vikings.
8 points, baby.
Next up, Carolina, Detroit and Arizona. The Lions won 2013, and another dud game for Detroit. Like,
horrendous.
Their games have been like well on the overside, like 50 points plus, and they've hit the under, I think, every game. It's been pretty lackluster. Even Jared Goff, 199 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and that 1 touchdown was it shouldn't have counted. He threw a pick 6 on the play before, and he clearly snapped it before the 2-minute warning, and he roped the refs into saying that he didn't, and they gave it to him.
Sound like a real Vikings fan over here.
No, it's more of a salty because I was playing in our home league. The guy had Amon-Ra and Jahmyr Gibbs, and the next play was that fucking hook and ladder where Amon-Ra caught the ball and immediately pitched it to Jahmyr Gibbs, who scored a touchdown. Jahmyr Gibbs got 20 receiving yards and a touchdown, 0 catches.
Yeah, that really bumps up that yards per catch ratio when you have 0 catches but have a touchdown.
Amon-Ra's catch shouldn't count. Like, he doesn't make a football move. He throws it and then immediately laterals it. There's no football move. That shouldn't be.
The play was crazy, dude. Yeah, probably.
It was a great play.
Both guys should get a catch, to be honest.
Yeah. Or Jahmyr Gibbs should get rushing yards for it because he didn't have an actual reception. I don't know. It's weird. But,
I don't know.
Gibson Montgomery, they're just continuing to just put up numbers. Henry,
both of them.
20. Henry, I did it again.
Montgomery,
20. The next game's Derrick Henry. Montgomery, 23 for 105, 3 catches, 17 yards. He also had a rushing touchdown. Jahmyr Gibbs, like we said, had the 20 receiving yards and a touchdown on no catches. 16 carries on the ground for 83 yards. Amon-Ra, 7 for 75, had a touchdown. This was Javonte Williams had a very dud game. It happened. 1 carry for -7, 1 catch for 9. Sam Laporta went out with an injury. He's considered day-to-day. He was 2 for 36, but he was carted to the back, so that was a little concerning.
Mm-hmm.
And then Arizona, Kyler Murray was fine, but 207 for 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 45 yards on the ground, but the running game wasn't getting good. James Conner, 9 for 17 and 1 for 8. Usually don't see like bad performances from Conner like that.
Yeah.
Then Marvin Harrison had a nice game, 5 for 64 and a touchdown, 11 targets. So like they're going back on what they said after week 1. Well, it's not his job to throw him the ball, and they're clearly peppering this dude with targets right now. Michael Wilson was involved, 8 catches for 64, and Greg Dortch got targets, but only 3 for 35.
Yeah, Greg Dortch he's not really getting the catches you need to get him to really warrant a PPR option. Because like Michael Wilson's out here getting 8 catches, so he's really taking away Dortch's PPR options. But like Marv, you love to see the 11 targets, but you really would love a little more catches out of that. Like you want like 8 for 11, preferably.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit left. Yeah, there was a little bit left on the field there when it came to Marv, but he could have had a really big week. He still did. He came in with the tutty. He's looking great, don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But Arizona's offense is just it's good, but
it's a roller coaster right now. Yeah,
exactly. It's Arizona,
good.
Yeah.
And
Trey McBride though got hurt.
3 for 25, and he got possible concussion. I know he leaned in with his head there. So another, you're just disappointed in your tight ends there going forward.
Mm-hmm.
But Detroit, where do you stand on Goff? Is he even worth rostering anymore? Because he's just putting up average games.
He's worth rostering because the teams that drafted him probably drafted another quarterback. Hopefully, they went in drafting like Daniels and Goff. I'm still keeping him just based off of what he can do at home games and in dome. And a lot of their games are in dome even when they're not at home this year. So a lot
outside. He needs some fresh air.
Maybe, but a lot of his games, his ceiling is still really high. Like he had 20 points this week. It was a quote for quote dud game. He's 20 points in our league, in our home scoring. He finished QB 16. So he's like a fringe QB1, so I'm fine rostering him.
In standard fantasy scoring, he finished as QB 16.
Yeah. So
So next up here, Baltimore and Dallas. The Ravens get the win, 28-25. So they're 1-2. Dallas falls to 1-2. Both quarterbacks played good. Lamar 12 for 15, 182 and 1. 14 carries for 87 on the ground, 1 touchdown. And
Dax was all
Henry,
garbage time. Like, this game was a legitimate blowout.
Yeah, it was, but hey, Dallas got back in. They recovered that onside kick. You know, you can't fault them for can't take away the points he was scoring. Like, he looked fine. Dak looked good.
Yeah, it was just fine.
The Dallas defense is atrocious. Mike Zimmer is horrible.
Yeah, it's rough. I mean, Dak did go 28 of 51. Like, that's not that good, but he did it almost 400 yards. It was just a weird game for Dallas. They got blown out. Like, it was a weird game. Like, their run game's hella inefficient. CeeDee Lamb didn't show up.
Yeah, he wasn't there. But I think you could safely say it's Rico Dowdle's backfield, even though he's not doing
no one's
anything.
Backfield.
Like, Zeke only had 3 carries, Dowdle had 8, and then Dowdle had 5 targets. Like, he's the first man up, and he's staying up. It's just the fact that they're just not using him, and they're down too much to reliably run the ball with him.
Yeah, so, especially this game. They were down hella early, hella quick.
If I have Zeke, I'm moving on from him. I would even move on from Dowdle if there's a better option out, though. But I think Dowdle's 100%. The only one worth rostering.
I'm cool having Rico on a team, but I wouldn't. There's better flex options out there.
Yeah. Derrick Henry, a monster. King, 25 baby. For 151, 2 touchdowns, 1 catch for 23 yards. Did you hear Jerry Jones' statement? They asked him about Derrick Henry, and he was just like, "Oh yeah, we didn't go after Derrick Henry because we couldn't afford him." Brother, you spent no money in the offseason. You spent the least amount of money in the NFL. How do you not? How can you? It doesn't make sense. Like, Jerry Jones is holding this team back. Mike Zimmer's holding this defense back. Like, he's a grandpa. He refuses to change his ways, and his defense is outdated. His defense was good 10 years ago. It's not good in the modern NFL.
Yeah. Zimmer, he's really holding back my defense for fantasy-wise. Like, I went out and got Dallas' defense any chance I could. And they showed up week 1, and I'm like, okay, bet this is the Dallas defense I drafted. And they just shit the bed since, dude. Like, Mike Zimmer's a fucking 40-year-old coach that doesn't change up his ways, dude. Like, it's not the same as it was.
Nope.
You have to adapt.
Yep.
But, Baltimore was out here hungry, dude. Like, there was no way they were starting 0-3.
It was a must-win game. Like, and they played Ravens ball. They ran the ball down your throat. And if you started any of the Ravens pass catchers, you left incredibly disappointed. Rashad Bateman, 3 for 28, 1 touchdown. He was their leading guy. Zay Flowers had 3 catches for 20. Mark Andrews had a goose egg. Isaiah Likely was 1 for 4. Like, and then you brought up Dallas. Like, CeeDee Lamb was 4 for 67. He fumbled, and then Brandon Cooks, who's supposed to be the next man up, 2 for 16. And Jalen Tolbert looked good. And then Turpin had a nice touchdown grab, but, like, those guys aren't people you're rostering. So, like, Dallas needs to get CeeDee Lamb more involved. They need to get the run game to work if they want to make any sort of run here. Like, I'd be worried about the Cowboys. Yeah, he did. Started the week. This guy, Jake Ferguson, came back. He looked healthy. He's 6 for 95. Nice plus side there. So, Jake Ferguson owners should be happy. You got your just lock him in guy in your lineup.
Yeah, if he's on the field, he's automatically Dak's number 2 target right behind CD. They got to get CD way involved, dude. Like, it's not the CD that it was last year. It's not the same. They're not using him as much as they were. Like, he's not getting 14, 17 plus targets. They got to hyper target this dude. They got to get him in the run game because their run game's inefficient. Give this guy the ball. Give him end arounds. Give him sweeps. Get your offense moving through CD Lamb. Come on, Dallas.
How do you feel about Mark Andrews? You red alerting him?
Yeah.
I'm
red alerting every tight end I possibly can, but Mark Andrews at this point, he was fine last week. He had a couple catches, but when you dud a game, dude, come on, man. Like, Isaiah Likely's no better, though. So
in a row.
Isaiah Likely was 1 for 4.
Out of 3. Yeah, it wasn't like week 1 where Isaiah Likely was just ripping up Kansas City. San Francisco and the Rams. The Rams beat the banged up 49ers, and the Rams are also banged up, 27-24.
Hella banged up.
I brought up Christian McCaffrey earlier. He went to Germany to see an Achilles specialist. Those are not words I want to hear.
That's like the shadiest thing I've ever heard. Like he's getting some weird Marvel superhero testing done.
That tells me this guy might not play football this season.
Kinda. That's some type of weird specialist that I don't know why he's going there. But it's definitely a concern. Like it's a real bad concern. So
and that's a concern for San Francisco with Debo out and Ayuk still not looking great. George Kittle banged up. He didn't play as well. Brock Purdy looked fine. 22 for 30, 292, 3 touchdowns, 10 carries for 41 yards. He did fumble, but I think Purdy's a pretty safe start going forward. Jordan Mason finally had an average game, but he was still 19 for 77, 2 grabs for 11 yards, just no touchdown. I mentioned Brandon Ayuk, 5 for 48. Like, this should have been the game. Yeah. He was the one. But Juwan Jennings, you brought him up at the beginning of the show. You started him. I ended up starting him in the one league. I had him. I put him in over Quentin Johnston, and Huge scored that touchdown at the 1 o'clock games. I'm like, man, I played the wrong guy. And then Juwan Jennings comes out here, 11 grabs for 175 and 3 touchdowns. An absolute stud of a game.
Yeah, like an unbelievable game. Like, I happened to start him. My team was down bad with injuries, so I just like, okay, I'm going to throw in San Fran's number 2 option here with Debo and Kittle out. And man, he won me a week, dude. Like, this is what fantasy football is about. Like, you just pull this dude off waivers. I paid $1 in fab for him, and he just happened to win me a week. Like, Juwan Jennings is now a name I'll never forget. It's just going to be like a lore. It's Juwan Jennings 50-point game almost, dude. It's crazy.
It's going to be like that one Patriots running back whose name slips my mind currently, but he had like a game where he had like 4 touchdowns and then he never played another game of football.
Yeah, 100%. Like, well, Juwan Jennings is obviously going to keep going forward, but
so how do you feel about him going forward?
He's not going to be wide receiver 1 on the week, and I'm cool with that, but he's going to be a viable target as long as Debo's not on the field. If Kittle's out, like, you can flex this guy. Don't expect him to be a wide receiver 2, but he's a viable flex option for the foreseeable future, especially with Debo and Kittle are out. And even if one of those guys come back, I'm still comfortable. Well, with Mason there. But even with like Debo coming back, I would still start Juwan Jennings that week just to see how it goes. Just because San Fran passes so many different targets. Like, they run their offense through everybody. So
he's going to be the hot commodity on waivers this week for sure. I wouldn't throw
if you already
ton
got
of fab
him, baby.
on him. Yeah, I wouldn't throw all my fab
if this week, though, I'd be comfortable.
Starting,
I put like $15. No, I put $15 on him.
Yeah, 50. Yeah, I wouldn't spend like half my fab and like
get this
guy who probably has a 4-week run. But hey, he's worth having right now and sell high. If somebody tries to like offer you too much for this guy, ship him off. Get the haul back if you can. Matt Stafford had a good real life game, not really fantasy relevant. 221 and 1, but Kyron Williams, baby, they got him cooking. 24 for 89, 2 touchdowns, and they had 2 grabs for 27 and another touchdown. Kyron owners were thrilled because he's just had good games, and this was the big breakout Kyron game that we were seeing last year. Yeah, you're loving it if you had him. I have him in a money league. You have him in the home league. Yeah, so most of your points are coming from this game.
Yeah, 100%. Like, these 2 dudes carried through me, though. I was projected to lose all throughout the 1 o'clock games, and then this game hit, and I'm like, oh, it shifted. I don't have to worry about it. But like you brought up Stafford's real life game, dude. Like, he carried this team through an amazing comeback. He's top 10 all time in fourth quarter comebacks. And it showed here, dude. Like, you can trust the game on the line with Stafford's on the ball. Like, he is elite regardless.
He had that play down the field to Tutu Atwell where he like knew he had it, and like he knew that was the ball game. Like he hit the corner, escaped the pocket, and just lobbed that ball up, and it was amazing. Rams receiving game though, it's tough pickings. Like, we all thought it was Demarcus Robinson, and he had 4 targets, 1 for 32. And he had a catch taken away from him on a flea flicker from Tutu Atwell, where he just wasn't able to get in bounds. Like, Tyler Johnson, 3 for 20, Jordan Whittington, 3 for 28, but it was Tutu Atwell, 4 for 93. He was the big play guy. It makes it muggy. Like, I think if Tutu Atwell's out there, I'd rather him than Whittington or Tyler Johnson now that I've seen that, like, it looks like he's the 2. I still think DeMarcus Robinson has value, but it might be more of a 50-50 thing with him and Atwell now.
I don't know if I'd start any of these guys because like there's 4 guys now that are just gonna be getting targets. Like they all had, it was 5 targets to one of them, 4, 4, 3. So these targets are all super close. So like come next week, Atwell could have the 3 targets, where Robinson could have 5, Whitaker could have 4. So there's just too much with these receivers. But when Puka and Kupp come back, dude, like this offense is gonna be rolling, dude, for sure.
Yeah, if they could stay healthy and keep Stafford upright, even just for enough time to let him in, he will with Kupp and Puka, because those guys that they know where to sit, so it'll make him getting pressured a little easier. And then finally, the Sunday night game, the Kansas City Chiefs remain undefeated, 3-0. They beat the Atlanta Falcons 22-17. Patrick Mahomes is no longer a fantasy superstar. Like,
he's just an okay start.
Yeah, like he's not worth his draft capital. But
no, good God, no. He's been QB 12, 14, and 12. Like, so he's a QB1, but very low end QB1.
Yeah, like 26 for 39, 217, 2 touchdowns, an interception, 17 yards on the ground. Alligator Man, Carson Steele, this was his backfield. 17 carries for 72 yards. Not much work in the passing game, 1 for 2, but a nice little game from Carson Steele. Gives you some confidence of him going forward if you spent the fab on him. And P. Ryan was also involved. He had 3 catches for 15 yards. He also had 6 carries for 25, but it looks like it is Carson Steele's backfield. But the Chiefs offense, it's the Rashee Rice show.
Yeah,
that's it right now. 12 catches for 110 yards and 1 touchdown. This dude is a superstar. Legit.
In this offense, yeah, dude, like he shines. Like, I don't think he'd be this good in any other offense. Like the way they know how to use him is just elite. Like they design plays for him. Like, don't get me wrong, he's a good football player, but he's borderline elite in this offense. Yeah. Any kind of game where you can have 12 for 110 and a tutty, dude, like that's a lock every single week, dude.
Yeah, and Travis Kelce had his best game, 4 for 30, which is just fine, but
that's a tight end game. 7 points.
Tight ends. Kirk Cousins looked fine, not his best, but like he continues to get healthy. Like he's moving around more, and that's nice to see. 230, 1 touchdown, interception. Bijan, nice game, not efficiently, 16 for 31, but he had a touchdown, 2 grabs, 21 yards.
He's a little underperforming, yeah.
Yeah, but you're fine with was that 17 points almost, or 14 points? I was looking at
almost 14
numbers.
But just on the year though, he's been RB 19, 15, 16. So he hasn't even been an RB1 yet.
No. But I think you're happy. Like I think the thing to take away from that though is he's getting the volume. So eventually,
for sure.
Like Atlanta's banged up still. Like they lost the lineman. McGreary's out, and then their center got hurt. I haven't heard an update on him yet, so that's concerning. But Bijan's on the field a ton, and like I think this offense it's gonna get better.
You hope so.
Yeah, like I think Bijan's a good. If your Bijan owners are a little worried about him, I think he's a guy to try to go get.
Try to snag him.
Yeah, Drake London, nice game, 6 for 67, 1 touchdown. Darnell Mooney continues to get involved in this offense, 8 grabs for 66. Ray McLeod is a guy to keep an eye on. He's going to have big boom bust games. This game wasn't much, 2 for 17, he had a 20-yard rush. Kyle Pitts had a big catch, 2 for 59, fell 1 yard short of a touchdown.
1 yard, my guy, is what you needed to have a huge week.
What did you think about that Kyle Pitts pass interference that they didn't call?
Unbelievable.
Yeah, but they did call 2 penalties on the Chiefs in Atlanta's final drive that were real ticky-tacky, so it sort of made up for it. Not to be...
They made up for it.
Oh, blaming the refs like people do, but like the pass interference on McDuffie, that was a bad call. And then the illegal hands by the other corner, those weren't great calls. I wouldn't have called them. But it makes up for it. But the pass to that was a blatant, like, Kyle Pitts was that guy.
It was bad. It should have brought the ball to the 1. It could have changed the game. I get it. It's football. I don't want to hear that they call for the Chiefs. The Chiefs have a ton of penalties called on them in the fourth quarter. Like, they're right up there with everybody else this year. So
yeah. The Falcons got too cute at the 1. They ran that wide zone, like, just running up the middle, just like bulk? Like, why is Tyler Algier playing fullback in that situation? Like, it was a really weird play call. I think they got too cute. I'm not really concerned about Atlanta 1-2. I think they'll be fine. I think the offense will continue to get better throughout the year. Kansas City, they continue to play these close games. They got that horseshoe wedged between the cheeks real nicely. But they also feel beatable at the same time. Like, there's like two grounds. Like, yeah, they look invincible. Like, everything goes their way and they end up winning. But they also look like they haven't ran away with anything yet. Whereas, like, teams shouldn't be. Like, I think teams get too wrapped up in their head. Like, oh my God, we're playing the Chiefs. Like, what are we doing? I think they just get too tight and too emotional, and it kind of costs them there in the end. But, like, I think this team is beatable.
I agree. If you have to play them very safe and very clean. And like one turnover is going to decide the game when you play the Chiefs. The game is regardless going to come down to the last drive for you or them. So you have to be ready to make the play on offense or defense versus the Chiefs. So like the whole game, you have to just be locked and loaded just for that last drive, because that's what it's going to come down to. The Chiefs know how they're playing football, and it's all like some weird calculation. They're like, we're so confident what we're doing the first 3 quarters that when the fourth quarter starts, regardless of the score, we're going to be in it. Yeah, because it's going to be that close going into the fourth.
It's that classic, their blood pressure is the same at the beginning of the game as it is at the end of the game.
There's not a moment England, that isn't
too big for this
team. It's what New
team.
England did. Yeah, like New England they very seldom blew teams out. It's just that they played them very close and very smart. And then when the fourth quarter came around, they're just the better and smarter team.
Yeah. They want you to beat them. They're not going to necessarily beat you.
Exactly. But they're never going to beat themselves.
No.
And that's the difference with an elite team. The Chiefs will never beat themselves.
No. Yeah. There we go. Week 3, mostly in the books. We got the Monday night games on right now.
Buffalo's blowing out the Jags, baby.
Yeah, Jags are getting mollywopped by the Bills.
Yeah, at half. It's like 34-3 at half.
Yep. Bengals Commanders are close, 14-7. Bengals are driving currently.
They're 14-10. They just kicked a field goal.
Oh, okay. I'm a little behind then.
All right, just here we go. Sleeper, to be honest.
Drafted Up podcasts in the books. Week 3. We'll see you back here on Thursday for Week 4 stuff. Recording on Monday had me throw for. I almost said Tuesday, which would be tomorrow. But yeah,
recording on Monday. We preview Giants Dallas.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Cowboys, they need a win. And you guys are just kind of playing football.
We haven't beat Dallas since 2016, I believe. So let's get that fucking dub,
I guess
baby.
We do got to preview that game. That is what we would do on a Tuesday episode. Oh gosh, this is
that true? We're doing that right now.
On Tuesdays, we usually do the Thursday game.
This is really unprepared. This is insane.
Pod on the pod, I know. I mean, obviously, you're going to start your Cowboys. CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott.
Dak. You start CeeDee. You start Jake Ferguson.
Yep.
You start. You're still fine with Dallas's defense. I'm still fine with them.
Yeah, I'm starting. Devin Singletary after what Derrick Henry did.
Dallas's run defense is bad this year.
You're obviously starting Malik Neighbors. That dude's a superstar.
Lock him in every single week. Do not take Malik Neighbors out of your lineup.
Current spread of the game, Cowboys are favored on the road, 4.5 over under 44. I am going to pick the Cowboys in this game. I do think they beat you guys. It's a safe bet. You guys are like 1-17 in the last 18 games versus Dallas.
Yeah, I'm 100% picking the Cowboys. I picked against the Giants last week and we won. So here on out, hopefully, I'm just picking against the Giants.
Yeah. It's an easy fantasy game, though. Dak, CeeDee, Jake, Malik, and Devin Singletary.
I just want it to be close, dude. I don't want I want it to be close going into the fourth. I want a good game. I don't want us to go out there in prime time and just look like complete fucking idiots. Brian Dable needs to go out there and show he's a good coach. Danny Jones needs to fucking step up and just show that you can compete with real quarterbacks. Go out there, show me that you're worth this fucking deal you got. I get you're not going to go out. If we don't win, we don't win. Just look good. That's all I'm asking, dude. Like, I'm not even asking for a win.
Yeah. If this game was on Sunday, though, I'd be willing to play Wan'Dale Robinson. On Thursday, I don't want to go in with him in my lineup.
I agree. I don't want to. I don't want to waste a spot. I agree.
Here we go. Now the podcast is over. Planning the pod on the pod. That's what we do.
Yeah, we always forget about the Thursday game.
I usually have the tab open. I didn't this time because Monday brain didn't register. All right, Drafted Up Podcast. We're on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at @DraftedUp_pod. Apple, YouTube, Spotify. Like, rate, subscribe, review. Tell anybody you want to tell who likes football. And as we get closer, maybe I'll pop on here for like a random 10-minute episode and give you some college preview stuff if Nick's not around. Just kind of filter through things for
I'm not really scouting college ball yet. I'm watching college ball weekly, but I'm not scouting any guys too much yet. But the season's been crazy. College ball's been dope.
Yeah, college ball's great. All right, guys, appreciate y'all. Thanks always listening. Sorry for this little wonky episode and the little almost forgetting to preview the Thursday game there on the podcast. Adios.
Bye-bye.